Hello and welcome to one and all who are joining us today to celebrate the International Day for Girls in ICT 2022. ICT, as you know, stands for Information and Communications Technology. It is relevant in every aspect of our daily life and activities, be it workplace, home, cars, communication, or computers. Technology is everywhere and ICT is at its forefront. In fact, we are getting to celebrate this day and reach out to women and girls from across the world through ICT. That is amazing, isn't it? My name is Deepa Perumal and I will be your host for today. I'm a published author, mentor, social media content creator, and I'm currently the Chief Operating Officer of Peaks Academy. Above all, I'm passionate IT professional who fell in love with computers at the age of 9, who aspired to be a software engineer at 17, and who has spent more than 25 years of my life studying and working in ICT. In short, I'm a proud ICT woman. Let me start off with a quick introduction about the observance and our virtual event today. The Girls in ICT Day is celebrated on the fourth Thursday of April every year in over 150 countries across the world. As you know, girls often face many gender and societal stereotypes in education and careers, specifically in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics sectors, that is, STEM. The aim of this observance and our virtual event today is to provide girls with the essential foundation of confidence, courage, and support to fight these stereotypes and to take a more proactive approach to fulfilling their aspirations in ICT and STEM careers. It is for this reason that we have brought together a group of highly eminent speakers from across the globe, all of whom are diligently working towards gender equality, inclusion of girls, cyber safety, and girls' education. In the next 2 hours, you will get some amazing insights on the potential within each one of you, and that is waiting to be unleashed. The event is organized by Peaks Academy in association with Prayana and will be live streamed on all our social media handles and YouTube channels. Once again, I welcome all of you to this virtual event for the Girls in ICT Day 2022. I request all of you to stay till the end of the event and leave your feedback on our live chat. In 2015, the United Nations established 17 Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs, designed to end poverty, hunger, AIDS, and the discrimination against women and girls by 2030. Out of these 17, one of the key goals is SDG 5, which is achieve gender equality and empower all women and girls. One of the key targets for this goal is to promote empowerment of women through technology. It is in this context that I would like to introduce the keynote speaker for the day, Dr. Chandra Vadana R. Dr. Chandra is a social entrepreneur who is currently doing her postdoctoral Fulbright Fellowship in Stanford University, California. She is the founder and chief executive officer of Prayana, an NGO that is working towards empowerment and skill development of girls and women from all across India. Through its various digital initiatives, all of which are led by strong women leaders, Prayana efficiently utilizes ICT and technology towards the goal of empowering 1 million women by 2030. I warmly welcome Dr. Chandra to deliver the keynote speech and kickstart the event. Over to you, Dr. Chandra.
Namaste, everyone. I'm so excited to address all of you on this International Day for ICT for Girls. And In fact, when I came across this day, or rather this international observance, the first thought that came into my mind is that how many girls in our world, in the entire planet, are able to actually utilize the power of ICT, the power of internet technologies, the power of the connectivity that internet technologies has brought, and how many girls have been actually able to utilize it, and how many girls have been left out of it. Well, we may think that, of course, everywhere internet is there, and of course, every country is having internet. But do you know that there are even nations which prevents women's access into the internet? There are countries which prevent the expression of one's ideas and opinions, especially that of girls, in social media. I'm not talking about some imaginary world. This is there, existing in our earth. There are nations which actually prevents the opportunities that ICT provides for girls, and that is the reason why this day is very significant. Today, when I am talking to you through this media, through this digital media, I am actually coming live on this Zoom, using this Zoom platform, using this social media platform, where I'm able to share and give out my opinions so loudly to all of you. I think I belong to that privileged section of women. There are still millions of girls and women who are denied access to this. Now, this denial could be because of their lack of availability, or the infrastructure, or the facilities that is needed for getting online, which is, of course, internet connectivity, as well as a device, which could be a mobile or a laptop. Or it could be because of the societal as well as cultural attitudes towards providing such access to women. We need to shatter both of this. We need to provide access to women and girls by bringing them together into the world of internet and media. Several years ago, it was found that women do not have equal access into digital media, and there are a lot of examples of, because women do not have access, or women are not entering into the internet world. It has been a male-dominated area, just like certain other segments in our real life. Internet is predominantly, I would say, if you look at the gender aspect, the gender ratio has been predominantly male, and there were in fact several case studies related to that. The Gender Innovations Lab, where I'm currently working on and associated at Stanford University, we are actually looking at different case studies, which includes one example is where we have found that if you search for certain keywords in Google, it sometimes gives out results which are very, very stereotypical. For example, if you give out, or if you search for a school boy in Google Images, you will get actually a schoolboy image. But if you search for a school girl, sometimes Google may give you, it was found earlier that Google gives you school girl porn actors images. Why? Because those days, the porn actors who were working in that, or rather when porn images were uploaded or porn videos were uploaded, schoolgirls was one of the characters which they used to play, and a lot of such images came into the search results. This was later reverted by Google, and Google found out that this kind of a mistake or a stereotype is happening on image search, and they reverted it. However, the point what I'm trying to tell you is that even now, ICT as well as internet, the world of digital media, is not equally represented by women, as well as it does not fully cater to the gender equality aspect, which we are still fighting for in of course, in the real world as well as in the digital world. We all know that in the real world also, it might take another at least 100+ years to divide the gap, divide the gender gap. And of course, in the digital media also, this kind of a digital divide exists between all genders. Specifically, if you look at men and women differences, definitely it exists. Forget the binary concepts of gender. If you look at the different concepts of gender, even now there are issues when it comes to equality in the social media or in the digital domain as such. So it is high time that we start conversing and discussing about these things in the public forums. And I think this wonderful conference that Prayana as well as Peaks Academy has hosted together is an avenue for that kind of discussion, as well as sharing of thoughts and sharing of information and ideas. So I would like to warmly thank the speakers who have joined here, and as well as welcome them on behalf of Prayana, as well as Peaks Academy. And I really look forward for the amazing discourses as well as amazing ideas that is going to be shared in this forum. Now, about women as well as why this kind of a discussion is important, I would say, is that there are so many reasons. I don't have to explain everything, but still, one of the reasons why women and girls needs to be thoroughly trained as well as exposed to internet technologies as well as to the world of ICT is very simple. It enhances their employability as well as it enhances their awareness, and it also enhances their empowerment. Today, girls from second tier and third tier and rural parts of India are associated with Prayana as Prayana fellows. For example, we have girls from the ruralmost part of Bihar, Chhattisgarh, Uttar Pradesh, Assam, Haryana, Jharkhand, as well as Assam. I mean, different rural places as well as apart from the metros. Traditionally, if you look at education as well as the exposure that girls and women get, it was, of course, limited to certain metros. For example, a girl who is studying in a premium college in Bangalore or in Delhi or in Mumbai, her exposure level, her ambition level, her capabilities, skill sets, etc., would be far ahead of a girl who belongs to, let's say, the rural town of Jharkhand or Madhya Pradesh or similar states. However, today, I would say ICT has actually become a leveler, or rather, it has become an opportunity for us to tap into the potentials of the rural states as well as even developing countries in that matter. So it is an opportunity for us, which will bring much more bigger opportunities for the girls and women across not just India, but across the globe. But for which we will have to all understand and understand the challenges associated with this, but at the same time, we should also take initiatives and bring forth more and more ideas and more initiatives to promote girls and ICT. As I said, of course, the challenges that girls face is not just in entry, but also in maintenance, or continuing their journey in ICT. For example, girls face at least twice or thrice cyber attacks, cyber bullying, cyber crimes, etc., than men, of course, right? So they are more vulnerable to these things. And that's where I think we need to have more conversations around this, and we need to create awareness to girls about cyber issues, cyber attacks, and help them navigate such issues, if at all, that occurs in their life in a smooth manner. So on this lovely day of International Girls Day in ICT, I should also remind you of the fact that in the past few years, especially during the COVID pandemic, on one side, we all realized the power of ICT. Today, we are all working from home. We are all using internet and Zoom and Google Meet and such things, and are able to connect with people across the globe. We are able to actually scale up our ideas, as well as scale up our businesses, scale up our activities very fast with the help of ICT. But at the same time, do you know that the same situation, the same pandemic, the same scenario has actually led many girls and many women to go out of job? In fact, it was a study that recently came out in Bloomberg, says that around 2 crore women actually disappeared from the workforce in the past 5 years. Okay, and which means India as a nation is losing out on so much of women who are disappearing from the workforce economy, which is highly dangerous, I would say. Already we are way behind. We were initially between 23 to 25% women participation in the labor force, which is still drastically getting reduced every year. Now that's a dangerous signal. Of course, even despite the fact that the proliferation of ICT has increased far ahead compared to probably 5 years back or 10 years back. This is a matter of concern. How do we provide safe as well as sound opportunities for women and girls to work in the comfort of their home, as well as even if they want to work even outside? But the point is, are we providing them enough opportunities to explore their potentials? Are the girls and women capable of competing in the world of digital and internet technologies equivalent or at par with the opportunities that men and other privileged segments get? So this is something which we have to discuss. This is something which we have to be aware of and think of all kinds of creative ideas how this can be done. And at Prayana, I'm glad to inform you that in the past 5 years, we have been able to provide skilling opportunities, especially in digital as well as in internet technologies, and of course, in soft skills, with the enablement of internet technology for more than 20,000 girls and women in the past 5 years. And this was, I would say, we are in the fast scale-up mode where we are able to touch base even more and more women and girls with the help of this with the help of ICT technologies, I should say. Now, how we can make it bigger and better? Of course, we also have dreams in making it bigger and better, and for which this year we have also launched an opportunity for women entrepreneurs to join the Prayana Collective movement, where women entrepreneurs get opportunities to scale up their business, to get business mentoring and guidance, and through which they also give opportunities to more and more girls from rural as well as second and third tier towns in India to utilize, to upscale, or to upskill themselves, to upgrade themselves. So there are several projects that is running in Prayana. I would request you, or rather I would welcome you all to go through it and see how you can also join this wonderful movement, wonderful effort that we are trying to do in the domain of skilling of girls and women, and especially with the help of ICT. And I am really happy to, or rather I am really glad that we are able to use the ICT for good. Of course, there are people who use ICT for the bad, but we use ICT for the good, and that's something which we are very proud of ourselves. Now, in today's context, definitely, what I can promise to all of you is that in the coming years also, we would be definitely launching and coming out with various projects in using ICT technologies in promoting girls as well as women's skill development. In this context, Peaks Academy, as you all know, is also working towards not just girls and women's, but everybody's entrepreneurial education. Entrepreneurship education is something which Peaks Academy will also be really, really working towards in this coming months. And definitely I would welcome one and all to join this journey. And to know more about us, please keep on keep signing up to our newsletters and other details. So thank you once again for having invited me to share my thoughts and perspectives in terms of the gender equality and the role of ICT. I believe definitely ICT is a great leveler of opportunities for girls and women. And I also envisage a world where all genders are equal, at least in the internet world. I think I remember reading about virtual reality or a virtual world where, the metaverse, where there is no gender or there is no, equality issues, and that's the utopian idea that I think every feminist or every person who is interested in gender equality would be expecting in the real world as well. So let's break all the barriers. Let's break, I would say, the challenges and inequalities that occurs not just in terms of gender but in all areas. In, I would say, gender sex intersectionality, where we have issues, and we need to make our society more just, more beautiful, socially equitable, and of course sustainable. And I'm wishing everyone on this beautiful day of International Day for Girls in ICT to use this day for refining our thoughts around these and to provide amazing opportunities to girls and women in, in coming out with their best version with the help of ICT. Thank you once again for this, and I wish this conference an amazing time. Bye.
Thank you so much, Dr. Chandra, for the inspiring words. Indeed, we are privileged that we are able to access the internet and make our lives better with the umpteen facilities provided by technology at our fingertips. And I do agree that it is our responsibility to make sure more and more girls are exposed to the versatile and growing industries in ICTs, and also more women are brought back into the workforce, because this is crucial to achieve gender equality in today's digital era. Speaking of gender equality in ICT, it's a general perception that women are rather technophobic and that men are much better at using digital tools. Let me share a funny anecdote here. As I mentioned, I'm a content creator and I manage 2 Facebook pages and an online community with a total of 40,000 followers. If you're familiar with how Facebook pages work, you know that every post is published, the content is published as the page name, not as the author's name. So many people do not know that I am the admin of the page. So whenever we get a message or an inquiry or a comment, it is always bro, sir, saho, or cheta, which is Malayalam for brother, all of which are male pronouns. Uh, 2 of the pages are news media pages, and one is about Kerala history. So, for some reason, people do not perceive that a woman could manage such heavy topics or handle a big online community. Anyways, coming back to the issue of access for women. According to the 2019 statistics, the proportion of women using the internet globally was just 48%, as compared to 58% of men. Which brings us to the next important question: why? What could be the reasons for this gap? It is no surprise that women are concerned about online spaces where they feel unsafe because of harassment, where they don't have any freedom of expression or privacy of communication, and most women are subjected to electronic snooping. For girls and young women to thrive in STEM careers, they need safe and reliable access to internet and digital tools, which is why the theme for this year's Girls in ICT Day is access and safety. So, how do we develop solutions and ideas for lowering barriers to access and improving safety online for girls and young women? What should women and girls look out for? And how can they handle such challenges? Our next speaker might have some answers. Let me introduce our chief speaker for this event, Mr. Georgie K. Georgie is a seasoned leader in information security, data privacy, and governance. He works closely with the Kerala Police Cyber Dome and was recently certified as Honorary Commander. He is an APMG International accredited trainer with many certifications to his credit, and he is diligently working towards making cyberspace a safer space for women and children. His work experience spans across multinational and IT services organizations, research organizations, and government public sector. Welcome, Mr. Georgie. Thank you so much for taking time to join us today, in spite of your health issues. We are eager to hear your thoughts on privacy in the digital era. Over to you.
Hi, good evening everybody. This is Georgie K. First of all, let me thank Peaks Academy for inviting me to share a couple of minutes with all of you talking about a topic which I think is of very high social relevance as of today. I should also congratulate ICT, the Peaks Academy for selecting one of the most apt topics on the International Day for Girls in ICT, which targets to position girls as part of the technology revolution, whether that be on the social media, classroom, or in the workspace. My topic today is related to online privacy, and I do not want to scare away people from cyberspace or activities in cyberspace, which goes against the objective of today, objective of the program which is observed today. But at the same time, I would like to share a couple of thoughts on some of the practical issues that I see and provide some practical, non-technical tips on what we should be careful about when we deal with some of the activities in cyberspace. I should start with, okay, is there anybody in the world who knows 100% about each one of us? Whether it is our spouse, siblings, parents, or classmates, or close friends, or anybody. I am sure there will not be anybody in the world who knows 100% about another person, because we have so many things, like including our emotions, our turmoils, our situations, the type of emotion that we went through in various situations, etc. At least some of them will remain as secret with us, or we may not be in a position to share those, so somebody else will not be understanding this in the way that we want. At the same time, will we be comfortable in knowing that all information about us, including how we felt on each day during our lifetime in the world, where we were, what all we spoke, what all we were interested at any point in time, what we wished for, all this information getting recorded in somebody's computer on the other side of the world, beyond our reach, and assume all this information is getting recorded, and somebody has access to all this information. And there might be a situation in future where all this information might get leaked out or exposed. It can happen during our lifetime or after that. Isn't that a scary situation? Definitely it is a scary situation for most of us. For me, absolutely yes. I believe it is the same situation for everybody. So this is a topic which is of very relevance and interest to boys and girls alike. And I believe girls will be more interested to know more, this is something which will be of more relevance and interest to girls especially. And I'll be very happy if at least some of my audience put some effort researching on this further during your in future, and come up with some better alternatives or solutions to address this particular social dilemma that we are all in. I should start with explaining one particular scenario or one particular experience that I had a couple of months back. I like to call it Ravaladu effect. So Ravaladu is a South Indian delicacy, very sweet, something that I like very much. So what happened is, a couple of months back, I was sitting with some of my friends having a tea, And during our conversation, we spoke about, naturally, we speak about like a lot of things which are important as well as unimportant. And our topic gradually digressed to tea time snacks. And one person spoke about this particular delicacy called Ravilodu. And we were all discussing it. We spent a couple of minutes talking about that. And in between, like we started talking about, okay, where in the city do we get very good Ravilodu and all. After some time, we stopped our conversation, we digressed, and we moved to our respective routine life. Interestingly, what happened is, couple of hours later, many of us started seeing advertisements about Ravilodu or shops selling Ravilodu and articles about recipes, etc., belonging to this in our mobile phones. So we were all shocked initially, and we again regrouped and confirmed that nobody in the group did an active search on their phones or Google or anywhere about this particular thing. We were literally shocked and frightened to understand that all this while we were discussing about something, about many things, our mobile phones, which was kept on the table, all the mobile phones kept on the table without any active voice search or anything turned on, was silently listening to all our conversation and using this information to process something in the backend. And this information was being used and this information was getting pumped to somewhere, and this information was getting mined by somebody to provide targeted advertisements to us. This may sound not much harmful, but the reality is, this is what is happening in a daily basis in our life. We are being monitored. Whatever we are doing in the cyberspace, we don't do anything beyond our cyberspace most of the time, and this is being monitored. And when did social media started getting into our life? During my engineering college days, we were very, like, that was the time when Orkut came into existence, and we were very happy creating Orkut group for our computer science batch and having conversations or sending messages to that, and very thrilled to see this information going to the mailboxes of all members of that particular group. And this technology has evolved a lot over these years, over the past two and a half decades. And now we have everything, like whether it is storytime, virtual influence, TikTok, Clubhouse, like Facebook, everything, lot of things. And technology has revolutionized the way we live, provided us so much opportunities, and has made many of our activities which used to be tedious, or like many of our productivity manifold. Like, so it has made our lives so easy. So like it is brought in a totally new dimension in the way that we interact, we communicate, we understand, we create, etc. At the same time, what we need to realize is, again, another aspect is, like, considering the popularity, as on now, it is said that about 65% of the human population are connected to social media in one way or the other. And this number increases by 1 million every day, or more than 1 million every day, considering the situation which happened during and after the COVID lockdown. And on an average, a person spends about 210 minutes in social media. And all these social media, all these digital platforms have some common characteristics. Most of these applications are absolutely free to use, or like most of the services are free to use, and are highly addictive, that we can see with our kids at our home. And what we see, the stickiness of the engagement time is considered as a success factor for most of these applications. So we start browsing on something, then we digress to some of these applications and spend most of the time there. So what happens is, the stickiness is something which makes them very successful. So typically, I believe there are two types of digital companies in the world. Companies which ask us, which tell us that, okay, we take so and so information from you when you register for our service, and we use the service for so and so purposes. We transfer the service to some of our third parties for providing these services, etc. And they may even ask you for signing on an agreement, digital signing on an agreement. Second set of companies are companies which takes all this information without even telling you. Either way, like whatever, like any application that we use, there is some amount of information which is going to the company. So like So why are these companies, huge companies which are spending billions of dollars in in the infrastructure and operations, running all these services for us to be using it free of cost? What sort of charity service are they doing? Why are they providing all this service to us free of cost? The reality is, if you are not paying for a service, we are not the customer. If you are not paying for a service, you are not the customer. You are the product. The information about you is the product from which revenue is being made. So how does this information get monetized? Like some of this information, we may consider that, okay, this information doesn't really make sense to others. Why should organizations be collecting this data? How do they monetize it? Why do they spend so much money and energy collecting this data, processing it, and converting it and using for all this purpose? How do they make money out of it? There are primarily three ways in which this data is being used. One is like business uses this data for targeted advertisements. Like very simple plain example. In the example of our Revoledo. So instead of showing that advertisement to the whole set of internet users across the world, spending so much money, what they could do is they were able to send it to specific small set of people, with that small set of people who are most likely to use that particular service or interested in that particular item. This is what happens across. And the second case is the data being used by nation states. And the second case is the data being used by nation states for cyber warfare. So you might be recalling the instance where Government of India banned a significant number of digital applications, mobile applications in 2020 or 2021. We don't have complete information about the reasons behind that in public public visibility. But at the same time, imagine some of these applications which had about 65 to 75% of our entire digital population connected, including many of our bureaucrats and military officers. Those information being spied away by some of these applications and being shared with our hostile neighbor. So those are situations where the data is being used for cyber warfare. Third case is when directly fraudsters typically collect this information. This is primarily attributed to applications which are downloaded from spurious sources or applications which are downloaded from untrusted sources, where these applications might be using manipulated SDKs for creating certain functionalities. At the same time, in the backend, they'll be pulling a lot of data and providing with their masters who have fraudulent intent. Typically, in the first case, when business houses were using this data for targeted advertisement, the stickiness and the time spent on the application is something which they converted to money. Second case where it is being used for cyber warfare, it is typically the data which is being used by those people who had a specific intent for using it. Third case, when typically for fraudulent intentions, it's basically the personal information or the credit card information or typically such valuable information which can be used directly for fraudulent transactions. So these are the different cases or different reasons why, reasons due to which the data is getting collected, and this is how the data which is collected from us gets monetized. So we need to keep this in mind when we use many of these applications. So most of these applications collect so much information from us, and typically the reasons which are quoted are to build better services, to maintain and improve the services that we use, to provide personalized services, improving the performance, communicating to, etc. So with all these reasons, we end up sharing a lot of information, knowingly or unknowingly, with or without consent. What really happens is, end of the day, there is so much information which you think is private is not really private, including the audio and video call records, the videos that you have recorded or received, the photos, the images, the voice clips, your browsing history, your social media activities, including private messages, and your investment details, the document that you have created, downloaded, received, etc. what all you spoke in a hearable distance from your phone, even when the recorder is off. Where all did you go? How much time did you spend there? And who all were there with you during that time? So there is so much information which we generate or can be collected from our mobile phones or our digital assets, digital devices that we use, which can be used, which gets collected somewhere in different forms and can be used for purposes that we cannot imagine. So privacy on internet is something that is now considered as an oxymoron, because there is absolutely no privacy on internet. So whatever you do on the internet, you need to know that okay, it is not private. So like we have to be prepared, and we shouldn't be surprised if you find this information in plain Google search after a couple of years. I'm not exaggerating. This is something which can happen, and which can happen, and that is the reason why many organizations, many countries are coming up with very strict regulations, because they are foreseeing this. This is something which is likely to happen. In fact, today Google knows much more than even your spouse about you, because Google knows okay what were your mood swings at any given point in time. What were you interested in? Okay, what were your thoughts? Okay, there was a time when you had a depression or a suicidal thought or whatever. So these are all situations that we should understand that okay, this is all getting recorded without we knowing. So what can we do about it? There is very little that we can do from a technology perspective, because this is the fact. There is so much information that is being collected, and even if there are many suggestions which come up in the space during conversations, etc. Because if you download an application into your mobile phone, you need to ensure that okay, you download it only from an authorized source, and you need to read in detail the privacy policy, the terms and conditions, etc. But I would say okay, these are all things that definitely good to have, good to do, but at the same time the due diligence on what we should be doing is something on us. So I believe okay, as human beings, as responsible human beings, responsible to ourselves, we should be taking care of ourselves, we should be careful, and we should be deciding okay, what can be done. So especially from a social media perspective, social media activity perspective, before any activity that you do on social media, the reason why I am saying this is I am seeing so many cases when corporates use social media activity to profile a person. This happens in the matrimonial world also, because the profile or the activity that you have done, or the type of friends that you have, the type of comments, the likes, dislikes, comments, etc., is something which people use to judge who you are. So before any activity, before posting posting anything on social media or any activity in the cyberspace, you need to think twice or thrice and ask a lot of questions yourself. Am I okay with this activity being recorded and existing there forever during my lifetime and even afterwards? Am I okay in this being seen by the person I am sending after a couple of years as well, and even by the rest of the world, if there is a situation like that? Does this post make another person unhappy? Am I okay with people using this particular activity or the record of this particular activity to judge who I am? Does this invade the privacy of another person, which can be a painful thing in future? Am I aware and okay with the impacts, if any, associated? Is it really better to send it as a private message than posting it publicly? So there are so many questions that we should be asking ourselves. Some additional tips that we should be keeping in mind is, again, these are not foolproof. Definitely our human intelligence and our common sense has much more power when it comes to protecting our privacy and our safety in the cyberspace. But again, there are certain things that we can do. One is okay, we have to read the social media terms and conditions as much as possible, and we shouldn't be sharing private information. Ask all the questions that I just shared to ourselves before any activity in the social media. Be very careful about posting your photos, videos, etc., because we have to think twice and thrice and be very, very clear in mind that okay, this is something which can go public at some later point in time. Many of the social media platforms provide very good capabilities in terms of setting up privacy settings. We have to understand and leverage on that, and we have to decide what type of personal data these type of social media media platforms store and share and use for what purpose. And definitely we have to keep our eyes and ears open and understand new threats which are emerging in this space, so that as along with utilizing the huge capabilities provided by the digital revolution, we have to keep ourselves updated about the threats which are evolving as well, so that while we leverage on all of these, we ensure that we do it in a safe manner. So just think of internet again, just think of internet as an open public place. There is nothing private. Don't leave your details lying around, your photos or your videos or any information that you do not want the entire world to see lying around. Because at some point in time, all this information are getting recorded. At some point, this can go public. Again, my objective was not to scare people away from the cyber world. It is just a reminder to everybody, including me, that okay, we have to be very, very careful. We have to be mindful about our activities in the cyberspace to protect ourselves in this world. With this, let me conclude the conversation. Thank you so much. Once again, have a very good evening. Thank you.
That was a very apt and relevant talk, Georgie. Thank you so much. It's actually scary to think about incidents like the Rava Laddu incident that you mentioned. Interesting fact, though, that Google does know more about us than our spies. Very true. So, as I understand, cybersecurity is not just a concern for big organizations. Women and girls also need to be sensitized on how to safeguard their information on digital mediums. So, thank you for the wonderful talk, Georgie. We have a lineup of international speakers joining us today. So while the next speaker is getting ready, let's take a look at Prayana and what they are doing to empower women through ICT. Let's have a look. Welcome back, everyone. Let me give you an interesting statistic. Did you know that women across the world, women constitute 49.58% of the world's population? This means half of the world's population is female. Did you also know that there are nearly 2 billion females below the age of 30? So, all of you young women out there, are you ready to unleash your potential? Are you ready to show the world what you can do? Do you want to know how to bridge the gap between where you see yourself and the limitless possibilities of where you can be? Allow me to introduce Ms. Chandra and Gauss, an international trainer from Malaysia. Sandra is Sandra specializes in engagement, enhancement, and empowerment programs. She is the founder of 3E Training and Education and has 30 years of experience as a corporate soft skills trainer. She helps employees, entrepreneurs, and marginalized people, including refugees, increase their results and productivity. Sandra has trained throughout Malaysia, Thailand, Indonesia, Myanmar, and Singapore, and has successfully designed many developmental programs for all levels. I welcome Sandra to interact with us and share her wisdom. Over to you, Sandra.
Hi everyone, I'm Sandra N. Gauss, an empowerment specialist from Malaysia, where I focus on people development and productivity improvement. Bridging the gap, in today's day and age, there are still some women who have gaps between where they see themselves and the endless possibilities of what they are able to achieve. What I believe very strongly is human progress and the progress of this world depends on our ability to tap into our amazing strength that lives within each of us. And it is so crucial for us to be able to take those unique talents, passion, and ideas that we possess towards creating good and helping this world to become better. And so today I shall be talking to you about 3 very critical elements on this subject, which I think is very, very important for each of us to practice as women and to strengthen it. And these 3 elements are what my company 3E is actually named after. So my company is called 3E Training and Education, where the first E stands for engagement. And it is my observation that there are lots of opportunities for women to use, engage, and showcase their natural talents 100 to 200% at work. But they don't do that because either they're employed as followers and they continue to just remain as followers in a company, or they feel that it is not their place to showcase themselves, that they're just a woman, that they're not capable or clever enough, that they lack the necessary skills and knowledge. So it is their mindset that needs to change. We need to be bold and brave enough to push the boundaries, to be creative, to be innovative, to be curious and willing to make changes, to introduce improvements, to not be afraid to stand out and create positive, enriching waves in their job. And if anyone is trying to stop them, is to be able to understand why, and if the reason is not valid, then they need to put their foot down and say, I'm going to do it, unless you have a better idea. So engagement creates impact, it creates change, it creates improvement and ripples through the organization. And the second E stands for empowerment, and it is very important for a woman to feel empowered. Now, what does that mean? It means to be able to live a life of your choice and to be able to do what you need to do without being controlled by another person. Now, this is something that's very, very crucial for women to be able to achieve, because I'd like to share a quote with you here that the world is inside of you and it is outside of you. When you come to know yourselves and if you feel empowered, then that is where you will become known, and you will realize that it is you who are a successful person, no matter what your situation that you find yourself in. But if you do not know yourself, if you do not feel empowered, then that is where you will stay in poverty, and it is you who is that poverty. So, how does one build themselves to become empowered? First of all, you need to feel good about yourself. You need to feel good about how you look and about your abilities. Don't compare yourself with other women, because just like apples on a tree, you have two apples on a tree, but both would be different. And that is how we are created. We are created differently. We are created with our own unique special talents. Secondly, I think it's very, very important that we count our blessings. The third E stands for enhancement, where we have a lifetime to learn and to be able to pick up and acquire new knowledge, skills, experiences. We are never too old to learn new knowledge. It's never too late for us to pick up new skills. And this is where I'd like to share a formula which I have used throughout my life in order to be able to grow in my career rank and file, and to also grow my income and my earnings step by step. This formula is called cash, but the word cash starts with the alphabet K, which stands for knowledge. Nobody is going to pay you more, and it's going to be impossible for you to be able to grow in your career if you do not increase your knowledge. When I completed my high school, I decided that I was going to work, rank and file, and to grow and to be able to build my own savings so that I could pay for my further studies. So at that time, I wanted to join the hotel industry, and the only job I could get without any qualifications was to work as a chambermaid, to be able to just get a job, earn an income, and do the job well. And from a chambermaid, I then learned and took up the job in room reservations, which was behind the. So by applying these three E's, I believe that you will be able to achieve your endless possibilities. I am sure that all of you have got lots and lots of passion, and you're a fun person, and there's a lot of things that you would like to achieve in your life. So don't be afraid of technology. Experiment, have fun, play with digital tools. Learn and increase your knowledge in those areas, as that is something that is very, very important today. Anything that you fear, the more you handle it, the more you experience it, confidence will replace fear. I am 54, and I believe that I'm only halfway through my life. There are still so many things that I need to learn, so many areas that I would like to improve in. I haven't been to university, and that's one of my goals, to put a backpack on and to be able to go and do my master's, just so that I can experience being in university and achieving a professional qualification. There are lots of goals that I'd like to achieve, a lot of goodness that I would like to still bring to this world. And I know that the only way I can do that is to bridge any gaps.
That was a very inspiring talk, Chandra. Thank you for sharing your journey and your experience with us. And I wish you that may you achieve all your goals and dreams. I cannot agree more on the point that we women have endless opportunities to harness and use our abilities, competence, and intelligence. Now, coming back to the theme of cybersecurity, the Forbes magazine have mentioned that a critical tool for identifying and predicting threats in cybersecurity in the coming future will be artificial intelligence and machine learning. AI makes people's life more efficient and helps us to do everyday tasks and everyday things like travel navigation, smart home devices, and smart cars. The field of artificial intelligence has a tremendous